A few African countries have cracked the code. 24/7 electricity, stable, affordable, and consistent. But why isn't anyone talking about them? How did they pull it off while the rest are still in the dark, literally? Was it just good leadership, or did history leave clues the others ignored? Let's dive in, because what you're about to discover might shock you. This is Voices of the Forgotten, where we uncover the lost history, hidden lessons, and untold truths of Africa and beyond. If you're passionate about reclaiming African stories, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss what they don't want you to know. And hey, if your country is still struggling with electricity today, drop the name in the comments below. Let's see how widespread this really is. Now let's talk about the countries that got it right. I want to take you on a journey through 8 African nations, each with its own unique story, each with lessons that the rest of the continent and even the world can learn from. Let's begin with Mauritius. Mauritius, this small island nation in the Indian Ocean, is often overlooked in discussions about Africa's development. But when it comes to electricity, Mauritius is a quiet leader. After gaining independence in 1968, Mauritius faced the challenge of limited natural resources. There was no oil, no gas, and very little coal. But what Mauritius did have was a vision. The government invested early in a diversified energy mix: hydropower, imported coal, and later wind and solar. They established a strong independent utility company and encouraged private investment. Today, nearly every home and business in Mauritius enjoys reliable 24/7 electricity. Blackouts are rare, and the country is now pushing toward renewable energy, aiming for 60% renewables by 2030. The lesson from Mauritius is clear. Even with limited resources, good planning and strong institutions can light up a nation.
Egypt, the land of the pharaohs, the Nile, and one of the oldest civilizations on Earth. But Egypt's modern story is also one of energy transformation. In the early 2000s, Egypt faced a crisis: growing demand, aging infrastructure, and frequent blackouts. The government responded with a massive investment in new power plants, especially natural gas and renewables. The turning point came in 2015, when Egypt partnered with international companies to build 3 of the world's largest gas-fired power stations in record time. At the same time, Egypt invested heavily in solar and wind, especially in the deserts of Upper Egypt and along the Red Sea. Today, Egypt not only meets its own electricity needs, but exports power to neighbors. The country's electrification rate is over 99%. Egypt's story shows how political will and international cooperation can turn a crisis into an opportunity. Morocco. If you want to see the future of green energy in Africa, look to Morocco. This North African nation has made headlines for its bold investments in renewables, especially solar. The Noor solar complex near the edge of the Sahara is one of the largest solar farms in the world. But Morocco's journey wasn't always so bright. In the 1990s, the country relied heavily on imported oil and coal, making it vulnerable to price shocks. The government decided to change course, launching a national energy strategy focused on renewables. Today, more than 90% of Moroccans have access to electricity, and the country is on track to generate over half its power from renewables by 2030. Morocco's story is about turning a challenge, scarce fossil fuels, into an opportunity for innovation.
Tunisia. This country, known for its ancient ruins and Mediterranean beaches, has quietly built one of the most reliable electricity grids in Africa. After independence in 1956, Tunisia's leaders saw electrification as a path to national unity and development. They invested in a strong state-run utility and prioritized rural electrification. By the 1980s, most Tunisians had access to power. In recent years, Tunisia has begun to diversify its energy mix, adding wind and solar to its traditional gas-fired plants. The government has encouraged energy efficiency, helping to keep costs down and reliability up. Today, Tunisia's electrification rate is over 99%. The lesson here is that steady, long-term investment pays off. Algeria, Africa's largest country by land area and a giant when it comes to energy. Algeria's story is shaped by its vast oil and gas reserves, discovered during the colonial era and developed after independence in 1962. The government used energy wealth to build a national grid that reaches even remote desert towns. Today, nearly all Algerians have access to electricity, and the country is a major exporter of power to its neighbors. But Algeria is also facing new challenges: rising domestic demand, aging infrastructure, and the need to shift toward renewables. The government has launched ambitious solar projects aiming to become a leader in clean energy. Algeria's story is a reminder that natural resources can be a blessing, but only if managed wisely. South Africa. For decades, South Africa was the powerhouse of the continent, literally. The country's vast coal reserves fueled massive power stations, and for many years, South Africa exported electricity to its neighbors. But in recent years, the story has changed. Years of underinvestment, mismanagement, and corruption at the state utility Eskom have led to rolling blackouts known as load shedding. Yet South Africa still stands out. Over 85% of the population has access to electricity, and the country is now investing heavily in renewables, especially wind and solar. The government is opening the market to private producers, hoping to restore stability and reliability. South Africa's story is a warning. Even the most advanced systems can falter without good governance, but it's never too late to change course.
Gabon. Tucked away on the west coast of Central Africa, Gabon is a country of rainforests, oil, and surprising progress. With a small population and significant oil wealth, Gabon has invested heavily in infrastructure, including electricity. The government prioritized urban and rural electrification, building hydroelectric dams and modernizing the grid. Today, over 90% of Gabonese have access to electricity, one of the highest rates in sub-Saharan Africa. Gabon is now focusing on sustainability, expanding its use of hydropower and exploring solar options for remote communities. Gabon's story shows how a small country, with the right resources and leadership, can achieve big results. Ghana. Often called the gateway to West Africa, Ghana's electricity story is one of both triumph and challenge. After independence in 1957, Ghana built the massive Akosombo Dam, which powered the country's early industrialization. For decades, Ghana was a model for electrification in the region. But in the 2000s, droughts, mismanagement, and rapid population growth led to frequent blackouts, what Ghanaians call doomsur. In response, the government diversified the energy mix, adding thermal plants, renewables, and cross-border power imports. Today, over 85% of Ghanaians have access to electricity, and the country is investing in solar and wind to secure its future. Ghana's story is a lesson in resilience, how a nation can recover from setbacks and keep moving forward. So what do these 8 countries teach us? First, there's no single path to success. Mauritius and Gabon show how small countries can achieve big things with good planning and investment. Egypt and Morocco demonstrate the power of bold national strategies and international partnerships. Tunisia and Algeria remind us that steady, long-term investment and wise use of resources are key. South Africa and Ghana show both the risks of complacency and the power of reform. Second, leadership matters. In every one of these countries, progress was driven by leaders who made electricity a national priority, who saw that power is not just about technology, but about opportunity, dignity, and hope. Third, innovation is essential. Whether it's Morocco's solar farms, Egypt's mega power plants, or Mauritius's push for renewables, these countries are not just following the old playbook. They're writing new chapters in Africa's energy story.
But perhaps the most important lesson is this: Africa's electricity future is not set in stone. It's being shaped every day by the choices of governments, businesses, and ordinary people. The countries we've talked about today prove that with vision, investment, and determination, it's possible to light up the continent one community at a time. So the next time you hear someone say Africa is a continent in the dark, remember Mauritius, Egypt, Morocco, Tunisia, Algeria, South Africa, Gabon, and Ghana. Remember their stories, and remember that the light is spreading. If you found this story eye-opening, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. And tell us in the comments, what's the electricity situation in your country? What solutions do you see? What stories should we tell next? This is Voices of the Forgotten, shining a light on the stories that matter. Until next time, keep seeking the truth and keep believing in the power of change.